In the shadows of sunny California, a tale darker than fiction unfolds. Welcome to a narrative where age and appearance deceive, unveiling a sinister plot by two elderly women whose hands crafted a horror story from the pages of real life. This isn't just any true crime story. It's the unraveling of the Black Widow murders, a saga where greed dresses in the guise of grandmotherly figures and death masquerades as mere accidents. Buckle up as we dive into a world where no one is as they seem, and discover how two pensioners turned the act of murder into a grotesque payment plan. It's a story that involves two women, Helen Golay, 78, and Olga Rutterschmidt, 75, who were convicted of murdering two men in California, Paul Vados in 1999 and Kenneth McDavid in 2005. But what makes this case stand out is how they staged the deaths to look like hit-and-run accidents, all to cash in on hefty life insurance policies they had taken out on their victims. It's a tale of greed, deception, and the lengths some will go to for financial gain. So buckle up, because this story is about to take you on a roller coaster ride through the dark side of human nature. Let's get started. Golay and Rutterschmidt's victims were not high-profile individuals or known figures. They were vulnerable, homeless men named Paul Vados and Kenneth McDavid, who had fallen through the cracks of society. Paul Vados, a 73-year-old Hungarian immigrant, was found dead in a Hollywood alley on November 8, 1999. His death was initially labelled as a hit-and-run accident. However, as investigators delved deeper, they discovered a sinister plot that had been years in the making. 2 years before Vados's death, Golay and Rutterschmidt began applying for life insurance policies on him, listing themselves as the beneficiaries. After Vados's death, they cashed in on 8 different life insurance policies, totaling a significant amount. The duo's modus operandi was chillingly similar in the case of Kenneth McDavid, a 50-year-old homeless man. On June 21, 2005, McDavid was struck by a silver 1999 Mercury Sable station wagon. Again, the incident was reported as a hit-and-run. Yet, this was no random accident. From November 2002 to March 2003, Golay and Rutterschmidt had taken out a staggering 13 policies on McDavid, totaling a massive $3.7 million. They had listed themselves as McDavid's business partner, cousin, or fiancé on these insurance applications. The question that many asked was, how did they pull this off? It turned out that Golay and Rutterschmidt had been targeting homeless men for a while. They would befriend them, gain their trust, and then take out insurance policies on them, naming themselves as beneficiaries. When the time was right, they would stage their deaths as hit-and-runs, making it appear as though the men had been unfortunate victims of tragic accidents. They would then go on to cash in on these policies, making a fortune at the expense of the lives of these vulnerable individuals. The elaborate scheme began to unravel when investigators noticed the similarities between the deaths of Vados and McDavid. Both men were homeless, both were struck by silver vehicles, and both had Golay and Rutterschmidt listed as beneficiaries on multiple life insurance policies. This raised suspicion, and a thorough investigation ensued. What they uncovered was a web of deceit and manipulation that had gone on for years. In 2006, Golay and Rutterschmidt were arrested, and in 2008 they were convicted of murder. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But the story doesn't end here. The women's actions had far-reaching consequences. Jimmy Covington, a 48-year-old homeless man, testified at the trial that he had been approached by Rutterschmidt. She promised him shelter and assistance with obtaining welfare and other services for the destitute. However, Covington grew suspicious when Golay and Rutterschmidt asked him to sign documents and demanded his personal information, like his date of birth and social security number. Little did he know that they had already filled out a life insurance policy application for him. The case was described by Deputy District Attorney Shelley Samuels, who prosecuted it, as being like arsenic and old lace, but it doesn't have Cary Grant. The prosecution's case included secretly recorded conversations between Golay and Rutterschmidt. In one conversation, Rutterschmidt warned Golay that their actions had raised suspicion and that they could go to jail. Suspicion had indeed been raised when a detective overheard a colleague discussing a case that closely resembled another one. In April 2008, both Golay and Rutterschmidt were convicted in Los Angeles, California, for conspiracy to murder Vados and McDavid, and for the first-degree murder of Vados. Golay was convicted of the first-degree murder of McDavid. The convictions on several counts spanned a week, as one juror had to be replaced by an alternate due to a trip. The original jury reached a deadlock over the final 2 counts against Rutterschmidt, but after the alternate juror was introduced, the trial judge ordered the jury to recommence deliberations. Both women were sentenced to consecutive life terms in California State Prison, without the possibility of parole. Despite appeals to the convictions and sentences, they were ultimately upheld, first by the Court of Appeal, 2nd District, Division 5, State of California, on August 18, 2009, and then by the California Supreme Court on October 28, 2012. This case was a dark stain on the reputation of Los Angeles, a city that prides itself on its diversity and tolerance. The victims were vulnerable, homeless men who had no one to speak for them. Their deaths were senseless and tragic, and the women responsible for them showed no remorse. They had planned and executed the murders with cold, calculating precision, and they had done it all for money. As the case unfolded, the public was shocked and horrified by the details that emerged. The women's actions were described as beyond comprehension by one of the prosecutors. They had taken advantage of the most vulnerable members of society, and they had done it with no regard for human life. The case also raised questions about the effectiveness of the justice system. How had the women been able to carry out their plan for so long without being caught? And why had it taken so long for the authorities to bring them to justice? These were questions that would haunt the city for years to come. But despite the horror of the case, there were also moments of hope. The trial brought the community together as people from all walks of life gathered to support the victims and their families. In the end, the case of Helen Golay and Olga Rutterschmidt was a reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining us as we delved into the shocking and tragic case of the Black Widow murders. The story of Helen Golay and Olga Rutterschmidt serves as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of vigilance in the pursuit of justice. These 2 pensioners exploited the vulnerability of homeless men, staging their deaths as hit-and-run accidents and collecting hefty life insurance payouts. Their actions were not only criminal, but also a betrayal of trust, as they preyed on those who were already marginalized and in need. If you found this video informative, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime content. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay connected, stay with Reely Unreal.